This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, a Dunedin restaurant owner is fed up after several power cuts forced them to turn customers away. Potentially toxic dross created by the Tiwai Point Aluminium Smelter is once again a topic of conversation. And a man who once built robots for Doctor Who has made a tank for warbirds over Wanaka. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahiahi nei, kia ora. I'm Simon Anderson. A Dunedin restaurant owner is fed up after a spate of power cuts forced him to turn customers away. He says the lack of power has cost his business thousands of dollars, prompting an apology from the electricity provider.
Gorgeous food like this has gone to waste due to frequent power cuts, costing a Sunnyvale eatery thousands of dollars.
Due to winds, obviously, it just goes out, unfortunately, usually at the worst possible time, and we never know when it's going to be, how long it's going to be off for, anything like that.
Nicola Chisholm and Darren Bizette are the co-owners of the Village Green Cafe and Bar, and say without warning they've lost power multiple times in the past few months, sometimes at the most inconvenient of times.
Had three in about 3 weeks, about 6 days apart for each of them, usually sort of mid-afternoon, or this last one which was right in the middle of lunch service with a full restaurant.
During one of the recent outages, they lost 5 tables of customers, each with between 6 and 12 people. Darren Bizette says they can understand acts of nature, like wind knocking trees onto lines, but says it's mostly a lack of information from the energy company which frustrates them.
Yeah, we've had strong winds, but we've had strong winds in the past, and nothing's ever gone out, and we never get told what the cause was. If a tree fell over and knocked some power lines out, yep, understand it. Car whacks it, crashes into a bloody power box somewhere, yep, can understand it.
Bizette says when you take into account lost business, food waste, and even loss of reputation, it's hard to put an exact dollar amount on what it's costing the business.
It varies from time to time. I mean, it depends on how busy you are. Like that whole Sunday lunch and evening that we lost, I mean, that could be $5 grand. 4 or 5 groups walking out. They didn't get to sample anything, so yeah, it would add up to quite a bit.
The pair say all they really want from Aurora Energy is to know what's going on. Frequent power outages have also affected other businesses in the area, with Fairfield's Tua Pika Gold Print saying an hour of lost production can cost them around $20,000. Aurora Energy says it's apologised to the businesses and says the unplanned outages were because of strong wind or equipment failure. In Dunedin, The South Today.
The driver of a vehicle that crashed down a bank on Dunedin's northern motorway this morning has died. Emergency services were called to the crash, which closed the motorway for several hours at about 9:30 this morning. Police say the person who died was the only occupant of the vehicle. The New Zealand Transport Agency advised just after 3 p.m. that the road had fully reopened. Police say there will be delays heading north while an investigation is underway. Southern mayors have been briefing ministers on the latest developments at the Tiwai Point Aluminium Smelter. One of the topics of conversation was the problem of the toxic dross created by the smelter.
Community leaders have been updated by visiting government ministers to find out how negotiations are going between owners of the soon-to-be closed-down Tiwai Point Aluminium Smelter and the government. Gore District Mayor Tracy Hicks says he's pleased but impatient with how talks with the smelter's owners are progressing.
I think there's been some good progress made. We're impatient, I'd have to say, and incredibly impatient, but also understanding that we can't be, as individuals, involved in the negotiation, and we just have to make sure that we facilitate where we can. We've been given some pointers as to where we might be able to be helpful, and we'll continue to do that.
Hicks says the upcoming closure of the smelter is set to have a huge impact on Southland.
We all realise how important this industry is for our province, and it's not about the benefit to the owners of the industry or whatever. It's about the benefit to this community, the people of this community, the people that are employed there, the families of the people that are employed there, the businesses that survive on behalf of the work that goes on at TY.
He says how to deal with the potentially toxic dross from the smelter stored in Mataura, as well as in other locations, is an unknown that needs to be addressed.
To be fair, in the last 50 years, there's been an awful lot of product developed at TY. There's a lot of toxic stuff that comes from that. So getting a good understanding of what that looks like, and nobody knows. I don't think Rio know. We don't know. The government doesn't know. Getting an understanding of what that actually means is quite critical, so that we get to a point where TY does eventually finish, that Southland and Southlanders are not left with a big bill to clean up a site.
In Invercargill, the South Today.
More than 180 motorcyclists took part in the 37th annual Bronze Toy Run yesterday. Riders met at Carriers Bay Hotel before riding into Dunedin, where they gathered in the Octagon. Bronze Otago Vice President Richard Leckie says a greater number of riders took part this year, which he attributes to COVID-19 and people's desire to get out and help others. Motorcycles of all shapes and sizes roared up George Street to the Octagon. Many riders had younger pillion passengers, some wearing decorated helmets, while others had soft toys on their machines. The riders donated toys and non-perishable food items to the Balmacewen Lions Club to be distributed to those in need. Wanaka-based former BBC prop maker Peter Akas has been commissioned to make a World War II Tiger tank for next year's Warbirds over Wanaka event. He could have been just a simple two-dimensional cutout of a German Tiger tank, but that it would have been too simple for someone who used to work on Doctor Who.
The Warbirds over Wanaka air show is generally pretty spectacular, with many rare aircraft flying overhead. For the next show, General Manager Ed Taylor was looking for something to add to the show's World War II themed pyrotechnic finale. Enter television props master Peter Akis, who was asked to build a tank.
I went home, panicked, had a cup of tea and thought, shit, what am I going to do? So then it just hit me like a wave. I knew what I was going to do. So I just ran to Mitre 10, bought a load of wood, load of plywood and some framing, and just got this kit, and then took the instructions out and scaled up the drawing, established how long and wide it was and the length of the barrel, and just all the basic things, and just went at it.
Akis now lives in Wanaka, but when he lived in England, he worked for the BBC, making robots for the Doctor Who programme. When he was asked to make a model, he bought a kit, then headed for Wanaka Wastebusters for resources, and even grabbed some parts from his shed.
These lights are my own lights. They came from Inverness Airport. They're leading lights and wing bar lights, and when the airport was upgraded, all these lights were thrown in a skip. So I've got half a dozen of them, so I put those on it.
The large-scale replica can move under its own power. Well, kind of. There's a quad bike involved, which backs into place under the front of the tank. Even though he worked to scale off a model kit, he says he's never seen a World War II Tiger tank up close and personal.
No, there's only one in existence that's in a museum in Bovingdon Tank Museum in England, and it's functioning.
And though it took him a while to put together, Peter Akis is pretty philosophical about the fate of his creation.
I suppose it's going to be blown up, set fire to, or strafed.
The tank's final moment of explosive glory should come at the next air show during Easter 2022. In Wanaka, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, the Queenstown Event Centre is stuffed with Christmas cheer, and rain at the Invercargill Christmas races doesn't dampen the mood. Ka kite akua nei.
here I am in the middle of George Street, corner of Hanover and George. Come and see what I get in here. This is where I go shopping. So look what I can choose from in here. It's fantastic. Knitwear, flash shirts. Look at those flash shirts. Trousers, jeans, pullovers. Oh look, I've got some hoodies. I love hoodies.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
But my friend Lindsay, he says this store's only here till January the 10th, so I better dash. See you later.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
For over 100 years, Presbyterian Support has been helping people in your region through all conditions, ages and stages of life. Our Enliven and Family Work services are always there when you need them. People in your community are facing unprecedented challenges and they need your help. By making a donation to your local Presbyterian Support in South Canterbury, Otago or Southland, you'll be helping us to help people where you live. Together we can make a difference. We are people helping people.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You sure you can handle? Okay. We can take my Lambo. I'll put on a tight jacket. Okay. You sure you can handle? Okay. We be faster than Django. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
Hoki mai anō. Dunedin motorists looking for a free park could try looking just across the railway lines on St Andrew Street. The space, which has been closed while undergoing an upgrade, has been half reopened to provide about 150 parks for commuters and Christmas shoppers. The City Council says the upgrade is not yet complete, with more work scheduled after Christmas, which is set to be completed in April. The car park will also be closed on Thursday for resealing. But a word of warning. This morning, the car park was already completely full by 9:30. Christmas cheer came to Queenstown Sunday, with thousands packing into the event centre for a record-breaking annual show. In total, almost 2,500 people reserved seats for two matinees that included performances from Queenstown School of Dance, Wakatipu Conservatoire of Classical Ballet, Remarkable Men's Ballet, Silk and Circus, and Queenstown Gymnastics Club. Organisers say they were pleased to see so many faces after a testing year. The free show revolved around the theme of locals making an Icelandic visitor to Queenstown feel less homesick by introducing him to a Kiwi Christmas. Over the last 14 years, Christmas at the races in Invercargill has only suffered bad weather twice. But this year's wet and stormy conditions didn't stop over 6,000 people attending what is now one of Southland's biggest public events.
Wet and stormy conditions didn't keep people away from the annual Ascot Park Christmas at the races in Invercargill. Southland Racing Club President Sean Bellew says the turnout was better than expected on what has in the past often been a sunny day.
We've had 12 years in a row with perfect sunshine, so hey look, It's been 2020's been a hellish year, and it's been very unpredictable, and its unpredictability has continued on into December.
120 horses ran in a condensed 8-race program of just under 5 hours.
Horses have come as far as the field as Christchurch, Rangiora, Dunedin, and locally Riverton, Invercargill and Gore. So there's a good cross-section.
With about 6,000 people attending, the event is now one of the biggest gatherings in Southland, even larger than any single day of the Burt Munro Challenge. Bellew says this year's crowd was well behaved and well catered for under the marquee tents.
I had a walk around the marquees before. We didn't have any problems. We were very, very particular on our service this morning and providing everybody with their hospitality needs. And I touched base with about 60 to 80 marquees, and we didn't have one complaint. So that's we've kicked a goal.
And it wasn't just horses competing on the track, with the T-Rex race featuring 9 participants who did express some concerns at not being able to see very well where they were going. In the end, all dinosaurs made it to the finish line safely. In Invercargill, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, we continue our look back at the year in news landing in April, and we check out your early week's weather. Hea koko aki nei.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
Welcome to Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have no shortage of stock. Check these out. We've got the Dunedin print t-shirts. Check out our zillions of short sleeve shirts. These are crackers. They iron themselves in the wash. Iron cheetah they're called. And there's some really cool polo shirts. Look at all the bright colours. And of course there's no shortage of shorts. This is always one of our brightest colours. Our long sleeve fashion shirts. Jeans, casual trousers, dress trousers, you name it, we have you covered.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So if you're shopping for your family or yourself, come and see Alex Campbell Menswear stores. We're full of stock.
Do PVC windows and doors. PVC is 9% more efficient than standard aluminium and 60% more efficient than thermally broken aluminium. It's multi-chambered, you don't get any condensation through the frame. And if you put decent glass in, you get a big difference to aluminium.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Here I am in the middle of George Street, corner of Hanover and George. Come and see what I get in here. This is where I go shopping. So look what I can choose from in here. It's fantastic. Knitwear, flash shirts. Look at those flash shirts. Trousers, jeans, pullovers. Oh look, they've got some hoodies. I love hoodies.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
But my friend Lindsay, he says this store's only here till January the 10th. So I better dash. See you later.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Lord, 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 hear it more. Don't you hear through
Jerusalem home. Don't you hear Jerusalem home? Bring the man he used to be back. My armor already cut to the bone. You can take that country and me.
No mai nō, welcome back. Everyone across New Zealand was impacted by the first lockdown of its type in April as we tried to halt the spread of COVID-19. Lockdown saw the city largely shut down and people entertaining themselves and others.
April was one of the most unusual months ever for many people stuck at home for the COVID-19 lockdown. Paul Allen was one of many who entertained his neighbourhood with his musical gifts.
You're a slave to money, then you die.
Dunedin's Mayor Aaron Hawkins thanked the public for adhering to lockdown measures.
I want to take a moment today to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who are taking this lockdown seriously by staying at home and staying in your bubbles.
Roads became largely devoid of cars, making truck drivers' jobs easier as they continued to deliver essential supplies.
Oh, it's been a huge effect. There's just no one around. Even just to get around the town is so easy. Even it's just nothing there. Just the odd car here and there, cyclists, and people out walking.
By the end of the month, the country eased out of lockdown and takeaways became available again, with steps being taken to keep staff and customers safe.
Yeah, look, they've got gloves on. They don't come in contact with the actual person. They're keeping their distance, obviously, because they're in a car. We've got a shield up as well to prevent that exposure. So I think there's definitely, we're minimising any risk that we possibly can.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. A Dunedin restaurant owner is fed up after several power cuts forced them to turn customers away. Potentially toxic dross created by the TY Point Aluminium Smelter is once again the topic of conversation. And a man who once built robots for Doctor Who has made a tank for warbirds over Wanaka but knows its days are numbered. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we have Craig Page with us this evening. Kia ora, Craig.
Good evening, Simon. Now, there's nothing like traffic and parking stories to get people fired up in this city, so we've got a good one tomorrow that's well worth a look. The DCC has today signed off on $53 million worth of transport projects. It's part of its 10-year planning and deliberations. There's sort of 6 major projects and they're going to be jointly funded by the NZTA. They're talking about bus lanes in Princess Street, more barns dances, now that gets people fired up over those, and park and ride facilities for Mosgiel and Burnside where people can leave their cars there and catch the bus into town. There's also cycle hubs in the city where people can lock up their bicycles as they wander around town. There's also talk of a heavy traffic bypass, obviously to get that heavy traffic out of the city. That's previously been talked about, but it's back on discussions. And there's also the issue of state highways through the city with the hospital as well. They're looking at revamping that. So there's plenty of discussions around traffic. We'll have a full wrap of that in tomorrow's paper. And that'll prompt plenty of letters to the editor, I'm sure. Some more bad news for our University of Otago students today. Confirmation the remaining graduations for this week are going to be cancelled. Of course, that's in response to the threat last week, a shooting and bomb threat. It was due to be graduations Wednesday and Saturday, but they've been both cancelled. Really disappointing for those involved. But the university is encouraging students to come along, collect their certificates and perhaps take part in some less public celebrations that have been happening around the campus. So hope they do. I mean, most will have their flights booked, I guess, to the city anyway, so it'd be nice to come and enjoy a bit of Dunedin hospitality. In our travel pages, we look at tramping and, more importantly, getting kids out on the tracks and trails around the region. It's all about preparation and bribing your kids. I think that's the key. So, and just finally on sport, we've got a wrap of the Black Caps' second Test victory course today over the West Indies, and it's allowed them to join Australia at the top of the Test rankings. I guess given our performance against Australia last summer, it's perhaps not as accurate a picture as we'd like, but they're certainly performing well at home. And we look ahead tomorrow. Otago Volts playing Northern Districts at the University Oval, looking to reverse the result from Sunday where we didn't perform quite so well.
Great, Craig. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with our southern view, it's a great day for a skate and to get some air. Beginning with the situation, a large anticyclone retreats north on Wednesday, allowing a damp northwesterly airflow to move into southern districts, followed by a weak southwesterly change. The nice weather should stick around for at least tomorrow though, as seen in the northwest, 19 degrees and both sun and cloud for Westport and Greymouth. And especially on the eastern side, it's sunny for both Nelson and Blenheim on 21 and 26 degrees. Sunny right down the coast too, 22 degrees in Kaikoura, 21 for Christchurch and Ashburton, a lovely 28. It's milder down south, moderate northeasterlies and some cloud in the Catlins on 18 degrees. Moderate westerlies for everyone else, and cloud increasing on 19 and 20 degrees. To the Central Lakes, fresh northwesterlies and cloud in Te Anau, also mild on 17 degrees. It's summer in Central though, moderate westerlies but otherwise fine on 24 or 25 degrees. Further north, Twizel and Omarama have the same luck, westerlies fine and 24 and 25 degrees respectively. Northeasterlies reach the coast, still a fine day for Oamaru and Timaru though, on 21 and 22. A fine night shaping up for Dunedin tonight with only light winds, an overnight low of 9. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow too, with just a few patches of high cloud at times and moderate nor'east winds. A high of 19 and a low of 11. And fine on Wednesday before that colder front finally moves in, developing northwesterlies change to cooler southwest winds, bringing some rain. An early high of 24 gives way to a low of 10. And in Invercargill, some cloud tonight and an overnight low of 9 degrees. Cloudy too tomorrow with westerly winds slowly freshening during the day, mild day and night, a high of 18 and a low of 12. And cloud gives way to rain early on Wednesday, accompanying fresh northwesterlies. The rain should ease, but the winds change to cooler light southwesterlies later on. A high of 18 and a low of 9. And that's the news this Monday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.